Hey guys, MaliciousCompliance here, and today is a bit of a rush video, so I am back with r/malicious compliance because I love some good old malicious compliance. Today I have 3 stories lined up, and I'm gonna go from right to left for this one because I want to save the large one for last. Starting with how my friend got paid to find creative ways to sleep for 19 months. I have a very good friend who maliciously complied her way into getting paid for essentially doing absolutely nothing for 19 months. It was a government job, no surprise there. She and her colleague worked in a state office that kept track of plague cases among prairie dog towns. They were super busy trapping and testing all summer, but once winter comes, prairie dogs hibernate, so they ran out of work. They told their boss via email there was no more to do for the season that first autumn, and their boss responded by telling them to stand by for reassignment. So they did. For months. They didn't want to be accused of theft by just clocking in and out and leaving so in the very beginning. They organized some storage spaces very slowly, cleaned their office several times, organized paperwork, and that sort of thing. When they ran out of stuff to do, they started sleeping, doing schoolwork, Sudoku, what have you. Initially, they slept in turns, so someone was always available if anyone came to check in on them. But when it became obvious no one was coming, they stopped bothering. By summer the following year, when the prairie dogs came out of hibernation and she thought her work might resume, the whole office, all the employees in every department, received an email from someone high up informing everyone that particular department had been cut. Don't know if it was unfunded, or they got all the data necessary the previous summer, or that particular pet project of some politician was forgotten about. But somewhere along the line, the State Fish and Game axed the project for whatever reason. No one was mentioned in the email about her job status, so her and her co-worker continued to go in and do nothing. She told me about making a giant binder rubber band chain and wrapping 2 office chairs together facing each other to sleep in the seats. She's only 5 foot tall, so she fit relatively well, making a nest under her desk and moving the largest copy machine out of its cabinet and sleeping inside. They made sure the security people saw them periodically throughout the day and they were on camera. Anyone above them paying attention would have noticed, but no one ever took the time. They dodged folks in the other departments for fear they'd get told on and just minded their own business. They really had much interaction with other employees anyway. Eventually, she ran into her boss at a show and she asked my friend where she had found new work. My friend didn't lie and said she still worked there. Where? Where you left them. She said you should have seen her face when the lady put the pieces together and realized what was going on. The jig was up and she and her colleague were let go that following morning via email before they went in. Because they technically worked there for so long, I think 2 years was the threshold, they both got a little severance package. In case you're wondering, they got to keep their pay since 1. They had proof they informed their boss they had no work and she clearly saw the email and responded. 2. They still showed up. 3. They did exactly what they were told. And 4. It wasn't their job to make sure they actually had work to do. They both qualified for unemployment to boot. Neither of them used the unemployment since they had both been feeling like the gravy train was sure to derail any day, so they had new jobs lined up. Yeah, gotta love a quote Independence Day for this. Jeez, that is so much extra detail for, hey, like, your friend and a co-worker basically stayed around for another 19 months when technically they were unknowingly fired because they just probably ran out of money. That time Karen tried to bully another mum and got an eyeful. Usually it's an earful. I, a 33-year-old female, unexpectedly gave birth 2 months earlier than my due date. Thankfully, baby and I are doing great and we've made it home now. As you can imagine, coming that early meant baby needed a rather long stay in the infant spa, the NICU. Now that we're home and I've been able to process everything, I wanted to share a moment of malicious compliance that helped bring some levity to a pretty scary experience. One of the most important things for a baby, especially preemies, is skin to skin time, which is where mothers and fathers will be either topless or open their shirts to cuddle their infant. Baby struggles with jaundice, so our skin to skin time was very limited at first because of light therapy. We had been moved to a new location in the NICU, right next to another baby and across from 2 others. A standard of care in the ICU is monitoring the baby's breathing, heart rate, and oxygen levels. These monitors look like an old school tube TV, and they're approximately 16 inches by 16 inches, and can display babies in other areas as well if the nurses need. So I'm new to this little care area, and I'm getting ready to set up the hospital provided screen so I can get my skin to skin time, but realize I may end up blocking the monitor for the baby next to me from the nurse. I asked the nurse if she can still see and if my setup was blocking anything for her. Obviously, I didn't want to interfere with the care of another patient. She tells me everything was good, so I settled in for some much needed snuggles. Not even 10 minutes later, I feel someone in my space, and look up to see a woman glaring down at me. Once I've made eye contact, Karen starts in on me, while topless and holding baby, so very vulnerable, about how I'm blocking the nurse from caring for her baby. When I tried to explain I asked before setting things up, she refused to listen and continues to lecture and get more aggressive and angry about how I'm causing her baby to not receive appropriate care and am pushing her out of the care area. After all the emotional stress and frustration of being in the hospital, I finally snapped and looked at the nurse and told her to take away the screen. The nurse was horrified and started saying, "But your privacy," to which I replied firmly, "It would seem my privacy and modesty don't matter as much as Karen's comfort. Get rid of the screen." This peeved off Karen even more as she realized she had to spend the next hour staring at my topless self. She got very annoyed and uncomfortable, especially when the doctors managing rounds and both got flustered and tried to insist I get a new screen. I may have been the a-hole, but I simply was done and stared right back and said, "According to my neighbor here, my privacy doesn't matter, so we all get to be uncomfortable." When I tell you, if looks could kill, I'd be dead, I'm not joking. The doctors didn't want to deal with it, and the nurses had to deal with it, were laughing quite a bit. They then brought the screen back and tried to show Karen that they can totally see all her baby stats on any monitor, so there was no reason for this outburst. I wish I could say this was the first time she freaked out about this, but she pulled the same kind of stunt almost every time I tried to snuggle my baby, until her baby was finally discharged a week later. But seeing the look of shock on her face when I just forced everyone to look at my boobs is probably going to make me giggle every time I think about it. It's like, yes, here you go, I'm presenting. Are we sure Karen's a little bit, lesbo? Force me to wear a dress, you won't like what you see. Hello, this happened 2 months ago, but I only thought of posting it now. Warning, it's a little long because I talk too much. Perfectly fine, let's go. First, a little context or backstory. I, a 19-year-old man, am a severely closeted trans man, if female to male. I recently moved to the US from Africa. I will not specify where for safety reasons, to study abroad. In reality, I moved in hopes of escaping the anti-LGBT laws and the sad reality of being queer in Africa. I hoped in America I could find a future where I could truly live as myself. Spoiler alert, I didn't. Not only does it seem like America hates trans people as much as Africa, but also my family here seems to be 10 times more strict, closed-minded, and traditional than my family back home. For those who don't know, being an international student is expensive as heck. My family is not poor, but we are not covered in wealth either. So to be able to live here, I needed to move in with my family in America. At least for the time being. Now to the actual story. A year ago, my cousin graduated from community college and was going to transfer to another university to complete their degree. We are all taking this route because it's cheaper. Naturally, we all had to attend said graduation. And people from immigrant families can probably relate. But my family insisted on being well dressed, not overdressed, for the occasion. I hate dresses with all my heart. I have hated them for as long as I can remember, even long before I realized I was trans. I hate how I look, I hate how they make me feel, and it feels like I'm on the verge of a panic attack every time I'm forced to wear one, especially in public. You can probably tell where this is going. I was forced to wear one for the graduation. You cannot fight or talk back to your elders in my culture, no matter how old you are. I tried to protest as much as possible, but the decision was final. I genuinely wanted to unalive myself that day. Anyways, this year was my graduation. I knew since last year that the same thing would proceed. My family would ask me what I have to wear for my graduation, and even if I had a perfectly nice suit that was appropriate for the occasion, they'll force me to go dress shopping and wear one to it. But this year, I came prepared. I didn't mention it earlier, but for over a year and a half, I've been on a weight loss and bodybuilding journey. In fact, the whole incident last year made me double down and work out even harder. Losing weight and building muscle has been a way to help me manage my body dysmorphia. Not only do I now look more masculine, I look pretty cool with muscles too. Like said earlier, my family is very traditional, so they live by certain gender expectations. And one thing they absolutely hate is masculine girls and feminine boys. They hate muscular girls with a burning passion, saying it looks ugly or unnatural. So this year, when they brought up dress shopping for my graduation, I didn't even put up a fight. I went along like nothing was wrong. While dress shopping, I personally picked the most tight-fitting dresses, sleeveless ones, and even unattractive ones. I've been able to hide my body progress this whole time by only wearing loose and baggy clothes around the house. So when it came time to try on the dresses, I came out of the dressing room. The pure look of disgust on their faces is one I cannot describe. I had to try so hard to not burst out laughing in the moment. While I am not the most muscular person out there, I still look pretty buff in those dresses. Simply put, I looked like a man in those dresses, and they hated that. The worst part is that they could not complain about my body because my weight has always been an issue and talking point in my family. So even though they hated how I look, at least I lost weight, so they cannot complain. I was even considering lat spreading as I came out of the dressing room, but that might have pushed it too far. Anyway, long story short, they hated every single dress and allowed me to wear my suit, which I looked much better in. And now, even though I won, I constantly get comments about working out too much from them. On the bright side, since I graduated, I am finally moving out after summer. hopefully with more freedom and less fear, things will be different this time. I love how it's just like trans men are just the absolute nukes when it comes to no. I will do what I want. See, it's like, okay, you want me to wear a dress? Here you go, boys and girls. Parents, I hope you like this one. And on that trans note, links will be in the description to the main channel and the second channel for you guys to go check out. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when video comes out. A ding, a ding. I'm the Mad Scientist. Mad Scientist out.